ليلة التربية. جزاك الله for coming, Sheikh, inshallah. So, flow is for you for next 30 minutes, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Let me first say, كل عام وأنتم بخير. May Allah bless you and hopefully you had a happy Eid. I want to ask you, who among you did Hajj before? 4, including me. Okay. So who's planning to do Hajj next year? In the next years. Okay, good. This is very important because actually it makes my heart ache when I see some Muslims not really thinking much about Hajj. It's like, it's not an important ritual. It's not an important worship. It's not as important, at least, than Salah. Of course, Salah is more important. Of course, Siyam of Ramadan is more important. Of course, that's not true. That's not true. Hajj is as important as Salah, as important as Siyam of Ramadan, as important of Zakah. It is one of the pillars of Islam. When the Prophet ﷺ says, بُنِيَ الْإِسْلَامُ عَلَى خَمْسٍ, Islam was built upon five pillars, it means that those 5 are not Islam. But Islam is built on them. So if one of them is broken, the whole building will collapse. One of them is Hajj. Why is Hajj that important? Well, there are also other obligations, like, for example, being kind to the parents is an obligation. Why Hajj is one of the pillars of Islam? It all has to do with the whole philosophy itself of the religion. The story of Hajj takes us back to the story of when the creation started. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started the creation, Allah says in Surah Al-A'raf, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ لَمْ يَكُنْ مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. Allah says, and very truly we have created you, then we designed you, then we said to the angels, prostrate to Adam. So they prostrated except for Iblis. He was not of those who prostrated themselves. قَالَ مَا مَنَعَكَ أَلَّا تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. He said, what prevented you from prostrating yourself when I have commanded you? قَالَ أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهُ خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. He said, I am better than him. You created me from fire and you created him from clay. I am white and he is black. I am European and he is Arab. I am Arab and he's Indian. I'm Indian and he's Bengali. I am Bengali and he's Malay. So the very first sin, or what Christians call the original sin, is not a fruit that was eaten from any tree. It was racism. That's the very first sin in history. When Iblis rejected the command of God and he did not prostrate for Adam. Why? Because he thought his race is better than the human race. He said, get down from it, for it is not for you to behave arrogantly in it. Racists have no place in paradise. So get out. You are indeed one of the belittled. فَخْرُجْ فَإِنَّكَ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ. Iblis made dua. قَالَ أَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. He said, reprieve me until the day they are resurrected. قَالَ فَإِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. Allah accepted his dua and he told him, he said, you are indeed of those reprieved. So Allah reprieved him. Allah gave him respite. Allah told him that he's not gonna punish him right now. So what did Iblis do? He challenged Allah. He said, قال فبما أغويتني لأقعدن لهم صراطك المستقيم ثم لآتينهم من بين أيديهم ومن خلفهم وعن أيمانهم وعن شمائلهم ولا تجد أكثرهم شاكرين. He said, so because you have deluded me, I will most surely waylay them on your straight path. then I will most surely come at them from before them and from behind them and from their right and from their left. Listen to this. He challenged Allah. He betted with Allah. He said, and you will not find most of them appreciative. I will make them unappreciative. He said, get out of it. Despised, vanquished, whoever of them follows you, I will most surely fill up hell with you all. قال فاخرج منها مذءوما مدحورا لمن تبعك منهم لأملأن جهنم منكم أجمعين. So shaitan, he wasn't a shaitan until that moment. Here he became a shaitan. He was just Iblis. He became a shaitan when he decided, when he vowed to delude us, to separate us from Allah. He here became a shaitan. And he said, وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. You will not find most of them appreciative. So in Hajj, what do? You start by the talbeya. You wear the ihram and you say, Labayk Allahumma Labayk. Here I come, oh Allah, here I come, to align with you. In Hajj, you announce that you are aligning with Allah against the shaitan. You are on the side of Allah against the shaitan. And you take off your clothes and you wear cheap cloth, like everyone else. All are equal there. When you see someone wearing ihram, you don't know if he's a millionaire in his country, an owner of a chain of restaurants or hotels, or if he's just a poor person whom someone else donated to him the flight. You don't know. Because for those few days, people are equal. So you announce that you are against the concept of racism of the shaitan. You take off this cloth and you wear these cheap cloth, pieces of cloth of ihram, and you say, Labayk Allahumma Labayk. Here I come, oh Allah, here I come. Labayka la sharika laka Labayk. Here I come. There's no partners for you. Here I come. And then Shaitan said what? وَلَا تَجْدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. You will find most of them unappreciative. So you say, إِنَّ الْحَمْدَ وَالنِّعْمَةَ لَكَ وَالْمُلْكَ. You are now challenging the shaitan. You are announcing that you are not among those whom the shaitan was able to delude by praising Allah, giving thanks to Allah. So this is what the talbeya is. Many people don't know that the talbeya is as important in Hajj as tawaf. Very important to do talbeya. You know, when you do talbeya, when you wear the ihram, you shouldn't say except the talbeya. When you meet each other, when two people wearing ihram meet each other, shouldn't say Assalamu alaikum to each other. Labayk Allahumma Labayk, Labayk Allahumma Labayk. People don't cut hair, don't cut nails. Why? Because you give yourself totally to Allah. Your body is not yours anymore. Like someone wrapped in a coffin, a deceased body wrapped in a coffin. He does not control his body. You don't control anything. Just you are totally consecrated for Allah. Labayk Allahumma Labayk. Labayk la sharika laka Labayk. Inna alhamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk. When do we stop talbiyah? Do you remember those who went before? When you throw the jamarat. When you stone the shaitan, here you stop talbiyah. Done. You scored. After you scored, what do? You rejoice. Then you start saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. After scoring, you rejoice. And you slaughter. What do you slaughter? You slaughter the attachments that are attaching you to this dunya. What are we really celebrating? It is the memory of Sayyidina Ibrahim when he went to slaughter his son Ismail. Who was Sayyidina Ibrahim? A young man who got married and got that boy? No. An old man who never had children and his wife is barren, and in a very old age, finally he got a boy. Allah told him, take the boy and his mother, throw them in the desert. He did. After waiting for so long for that boy. And then when the boy grew up, Allah told him, go and slay that boy. It's not about ending the life of anyone. It's about ending the attachments. Ending anything that will attach you to this world more than Allah. What else do we love in this life more than our children? Our children are the most beloved to our hearts. Allah wanted you to love Him more than anything else. All of us love Allah. But the problem is the space of love that we give to Allah in our hearts are less than the space we give to our children, to our spouses, to money, to pleasures, to all these things. That's a problem. That's why Allah said, قُلْ إِنْ كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ وَأَبْنَاؤُكُمْ وَأَزْوَاجُكُمْ وَعَشِيرَتُكُمْ. When Allah said, these things should not be more beloved than Allah. So it's okay to love these things, but not more than Allah. So you slay to commemorate altogether the memory of slaughtering the attachments that are attaching you to this world, to the dunya. You know what dunya is in our new translation? We're doing a new translation for the Quran now. And dunya, we're translating it the earlier life. Dunya ism tafdeel. If it was masculine, it would be adna, al-adna. But because it is feminine, ad-dunya. The ad-dunya wal-akhirah, the earlier life and the one after. So this is just the earlier life. Cut all the relations with this earlier life. And I just told you, talbeya is so important. You know what the Prophet ﷺ said about talbeya? It is narrated in a hadith ضعيف, but it is narrated. ما من محرم يضحى لله يومه يلبي حتى تغيب الشمس إلا غابت بذنوبه فعاد كما ولدته أمه. There is no muhrim. Muhrim means a pilgrim who is in a state of ihram, who spends his day for the sake of Allah reciting the talbeya, saying the labayka Allahumma Labayk until the sun goes down, but his sins will disappear with the sun when it disappears. He will go back like on the day his mother delivered him. This is the importance of talbeya. And then what happens? We finish the rituals, huh? فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُم مَّنَاسِكَكُمْ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. Allah says, so when you have completed your rituals, remember Allah or mention Allah as you mention your forefathers, or with even a greater remembrance. How do you remember your forefathers? How do people mention their forefathers? Have you seen Egyptians before who are fascinated with the pharaohs? They keep telling about the pharaonic civilization. The pharaohs were so strong. They were so mighty. Or maybe Iraqis were also proud of Mesopotamia and its history and how developed they were, how mighty they were. Allah says, mention Allah like you mention your forefathers, or even greater mentioning. Which means be proud of Allah. Be proud of Allah. Be proud of your Lord. Be proud of Allah with His names and with His abilities, with His attributes. See, in the story of the two companions in Surah Al-Kahf, one of them is a kafir who is actually not companions of Prophet Muhammad. Those two friends, they call it the owner of the two gardens, but I don't like this name because this name disregarded the mu'min. There are two people who are companions, and they were in Surah Al-Kahf. One of them was so proud of himself and of his wealth, and the other one said what? لَكِنَّهُ اللَّهُ رَبِّي, which means he is proud of his Lord, proud of being Muslim. Should be proud of being Muslim. What is the biggest gift in this world? That we are Muslims, Islam. That we were born Muslims, or we were led to Islam or guided to Islam. But if I'm talking to some Christians, they would say the biggest gift is Christianity. And Jews would say the biggest gift is Judaism, Buddhism. So it's just everyone that's singing his song? No. You need to know how to justify why Islam is the biggest gift. Allah created in this world different type of creatures. Allah created non-living objects. water, soil. And Allah created a higher rank creature, plants. And Allah created a higher rank creature than plants, animals. Allah created a higher rank creature than animals, human beings. Allah made the system in this world like that. Every creature is in the service of the higher rank creatures, not the opposite. So water and soil, they are serving plants. Plants don't serve water and soil. Water and soil serve animals, serve us. Huh? Plants serve animals. Plants serve us. We eat salad. Animals serve us. They don't serve as plants. They don't serve water and soil. We ride on the animals. We drink the milk of the animals. We eat the meat of the animals. And we are the servants of Allah. Only. Why? Because we're Muslims. But if I was, God forbid, to worship another human being, I have to go 2 ranks down to worship a human being. If I was, God forbid, to worship a stone, I have to go 2 or 3 ranks down. If I was to worship an animal, 2 ranks down. 1 billion people worship cows. 2 ranks down. Only Islam puts me in my rear rank, on the top of the pyramid of creation. So we have to thank Allah for being Muslim. That's why, you see, it has to do with the philosophy of being a Muslim itself. Hajj is very important. And it really makes my heart ache when I see many people are not really thinking about Hajj because they are not well off and they know that they cannot afford it. And it's only on those who can afford it. Did you try? Did you try to save £1 every day? You cannot. £1 every week. Allah will pull you there, will take you. Allah said, the one who comes close to me that much, a hand span, I will come close to him an arm span. But you start. You always have to start. The one who comes to me walking, I will come to him running. But you start. Save £1 every day if you cannot, £1 every week. And you see that you, within a year or 2 or 3, you will be making Hajj. It's so important. The Prophet ﷺ said, من استطاع أن يحج ولم يحج فليمت إن شاء مجوسيا أو نصرانيا أو يهوديا. Whoever has the provisions and the means to convey him to Allah's house and he does not perform Hajj, then it does not matter if he dies as a Jew or a Christian. It is very important to put this in mind. I went to Hajj, the first time I went to Hajj in 1990, and my sheikh told me, what are you reading these days? I said, I'm reading in Ihya Ulum al-Din. He said, well, I want you to stop whatever you're reading and jump in Ihya Ulum al-Din in the same book to the chapter of Hajj, and you have to read it before you go. I said, okay. And then I went back home and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't like to jump when I'm reading a book, and I'm going with the sheikh anyway, staying with him in the same room. Why do I need to read about Hajj? I'll be doing what he does, what he will do. And then what happened? I went to Hajj for the first time in my life, and there, it was in August. It was so hot. A pickpocket actually took my money. It was so crowded, and I felt like, oh my God, I'm not feeling any spiritualities. And I got worried about myself. So I called my sheikh, I want to speak to you in private, yeah? He said, I'm afraid that I may be a hypocrite like that. He said, why? I said, I'm not feeling any spiritualities. I thought that I'll be like flying here because I'm in Hajj finally, seeing the Kaaba finally, the grave of the Prophet finally, but I'm not feeling anything. He said, you didn't read what I told you to read? I said, yeah, actually I didn't. He said, when you go back home, read. I went back home and I read it. Next year, I went to do Hajj for my father, actually, because he died before doing Hajj. And it was worse, more crowded, more hot, more difficulty, more hardship. And the more the hardship, the more spiritual I feel. Why? Because I understood it. I understood the philosophy. Anything that your mind understands, your nafs will feel inclined towards. So we understand Salah. We know that you are humbling yourself to Allah, putting your nose and your forehead on the floor for Allah, humbling yourself. So khushu' comes. And your nafs doesn't resist it actually. Sawm, where there is mujahada for your desires and stuff like that. So you understand it, so you feel inclined towards it. Zakat, same thing. But Hajj, we don't really understand. Why do we have to walk between Safa and Marwa, starting with Safa, ending with Marwa 7 times, and here we have to run? Is it because Lady Hajar did that? Okay, why don't we go on Uhud mountain and pretend that we are fighting? It's not about. It's about you are, and this stone you will kiss, and this stone you will stone. You don't understand. And you're supposed to do these things that you don't understand at least once in your life, to show Allah full servitude, that even when you don't understand, you will submit, you will comply. Showing the full servitude. So the more the hardship you feel, the more spiritual, because you understand that you are showing Allah more servitude and more acceptance, though you are in hardship, though it is very crowded, though it is very hot. And then in the Jamarat, once I got a stone, a big stone in my eye, in the left eye. The first doctor who saw me said that I will never see with this eye again. It was so bad. Anyway, so I nearly lost my eye. It was wrapped like that, and I sat after Hajj, seeing the crowds making tawaf, and in the Masjid al-Haram, and I sat and I said, "Oh Allah, you know that we will be 3 million one day. And it will be that crowded. And even some rituals, we are not really doing it properly, like stoning the Jamarat. We don't really see if my stone falls in the place or should I throw another one. I don't know, because it's very crowded. And I said, what's the wisdom behind that? Bringing us all together here. Why not? Why didn't you make it like that? Like the Muslims of Africa will come in certain 3 months, and the Muslims of Asia in another 3 months, and the Muslims of Europe in another 3 months, like that. So it would be more comfortable. And then I said, okay, God knows. And still he didn't. Which means that the unity of Muslims is more important for Allah than doing the ritual properly. The unity is more important. We go to Hajj and we come back. We see Muslims from China, Muslims from Burma, Muslims from everywhere. Who of us gets to know them? Exchanges emails or numbers? It's very important to think about these things. And actually, I would like to end this topic with one thing. Last time I did Hajj was in 2013, after the massacre of Rab'a. I was making Hajj for a Shaheed who was killed. And it was like a big endeavor. We made Hajj for 73 people, actually, who were also killed. And there, I understood something that I never understood before. I always, when I used to go to Hajj, or Umrah even, and I see like people taking off their clothes, wearing those 2 pieces of cloth that makes them look poor and weak, I feel like, okay, it's like it's a play, and those are the costumes of the play. I'm sorry, that was in my mind. But this last time, I understood that that's not true. Hajj is the reality. In Hajj, we show the reality of our weakness and poverty. After Hajj, we take off the ihram and we wear the costumes of the play. The play is what's after Hajj and before Hajj, not Hajj. Hajj is the reality. After Hajj, this one plays the role of a CEO, this one plays the role of a king, this one plays the role of a caretaker, this is the play. But the reality is that we are all weak, we are all poor, we are all needy. That's the reality. Hajj is so important, and the philosophy of it is so important, and it, as I told you, it all has to do with the purpose of life itself and the start, how Allah started the creation, and the challenge that the shaitan did, challenging Allah that he will not find most of us appreciative. Jazakumullah khairan. Like that, we finished this topic about Hajj.